Welcome to Lantern's Insight, where we take Magic the Gathering's long lore, break it down, and dramatically retell it back to you. All characters and art are owned by Magic the Gathering, Wizards of the Coast, and Hasbro. If you want to learn more about Magic the Gathering, the game, please visit the links down below. Adila Rimheight pens a fresh letter. She spent many moons thinking about this day, but never really thought she would do it. Of course, that all changed when she lost her daughter again. Adila doesn't remember much of her first daughter since Elsie was so young when she died, but she did remember her smile. When that smile was snuffed out, Adila turned cold to the church that murdered her. There was no evidence that the lycanthrope bite caused the change. If anything, it had more characteristics in common with a Geist possession. But her optimistic cries were left unheard as the Avacynian order beheaded her beautiful girl. Shaken but undeterred, Adila kept her faith. It was men who killed her little one after all, not an angel. So she devoted herself to helping the Lycan curse instead of condemning them as monsters. She thought how far she had come, how she had built this out-of-view monastery in Kesek, and from the ground up it was a simple but sturdy church. Below, there were cells for her parish to lock themselves away during their full moon transformations. But this changed again when she met this Robin Amsel. He brought with him a small ring, Rika's ring. It was the same ring that Rika stole so long ago when she first came to Threabin as an elite Cathar in training. It would eventually lead her to disgrace and excommunication. But he didn't know the full story, unlike Adila. Adila still had the letters detailing the exact events, how Rika watched priests gather around the Hell Vault and then descend the cliff it overlooked to behind a waterfall. Rika followed them to their unholy meeting ground and watched as they murdered a woman in the name of a demon, Griselbrand. When she reported the incident, going so far as to steal the blade they used on the poor woman, she was found in implication by some corrupt official, and she ran for her life. So Adila did the only thing she could for the boy that might have one day been her son-in-law if things were different. She armed him with this knowledge and gave him a mission to end the man who ruined Rika's reputation, end her life. Adila finished her account and laid the quill down. She had lost faith in the men of the church before, but now she lost faith in the church as a whole. If people were going to survive this dark time, they would need to be strong, with or without an angel. So she smashed the locks to her moon cells. After all, the werewolves of her church were the strongest people she knew. Light and darkness helixed into the sky as the Hell Vault shattered. Dark demons rise from the stone, ready to begin their plight anew. They look down at the feast before them, the soldiers of the church. But they hesitate, because among them is Avacyn. She repositions herself between them like a titan of strength. She raises her spear and burns a light so bright the demons have to look away. At her command, the angels leave their roost and join Avacyn, creating a wall of wing and feather. For a second, the stoic angels calmly announce judgment on the demons. Guilty. A split second later, the angels enact their justice, tearing the demons apart without mercy or remorse. Thalia falls to her knees in teary awe.
Avacyn? Is it really you?
Avacyn turns her pupilless gaze to the guardian of Threabin.
Yes, I will not part with you again.
She points her spear into the heavens.
No more will this world know darkness.
And then a pure light pulses out from her spear, spanning the world with her decree. The power of the humans in Innistrad has returned. It's flourishing. Avacyn was stronger, and her followers, renewed double in their faith, were stronger too. Humans now believed something they never could before. They believed life wasn't just holding on and surviving. They knew that this was a war between light and dark, and that they might actually win. But the darkness wasn't so easily beaten. Old evils still lingered deep below the surface, and new ones had yet to show their face. The evil that was Griselbrand did not die in that fight. He knew he was no match for Avacyn restored. He would wait, he would gather his following, and then he would strike. But he felt empty, as if he was less of himself. He looked down to find that his right arm and half of his chest were gone. Normally, damaged demons would turn back into mana and recombine later. They never really died, as they were a part of the nature of Innistrad after all. But instead, that mana was just gone. He turned to see a woman with raven hair and a chained, veiled mask. Those runes on her skin, he remembered them, but not on a woman so young. She pulled the veil aside.
Hello, Grizzlebrand.
He recognized her now. The old woman was Liliana. She had come seeking immortality in exchange for a quarter of her soul, and a powerful soul it was at that, but not this powerful. He raised his great scythe arm to strike her down, but she slipped her veil back on and obliterated him.
2 down, 2 to go.
She turned smirking in her newfound power. No one could stop her. She fell to the ground as the whispers inside her head demanded her attention. Minor demons and devils creeped in on the weakened woman, but she blasted them away with the same power, and then the whispers doubled in strength.
Shut up!
Reaching into her spark, she planeswalks away to Ravnica, the world of the guilds. There was a man there who knew quite a bit about voices inside heads. The light of Avacyn's decree reached and spread across the whole of Innistrad. When it washed through Garruk, he fell to the ground and watched the blackness of his veins retreat. He vomited up ink from his mouth. Wiping the muck away and standing, he realized he felt good. He felt whole. He hadn't felt this way since the curse. He looked over to his prey, a mighty silver-backed werewolf, only to find a small human there instead. Garruk laughs. Garruk Wildspeaker would not hunt humans, for they were weak prey and there was little honor in that. Since he was that man again, he freed the confused little runt. He reached out towards the sun to feel its warmth when a wave of nausea hit him. The black filled his veins again, and his skin paled. The curse was not lifted, only delayed. No! No! He crawled towards where the light came from. The curse must be removed. But the trail of the witch Liliana went to yet another plane. Garruk turned his back to the light and prepared to planeswalk. She would pay first. Then the hilt of a sword brought the weakened hunter to unconsciousness. Odric hated all things unnatural in Innistrad, be it wolf, vampire, or demon. This man was no werewolf, but he was close enough. He raised his sword to finish him. One of his fellow Cathars, Greta, put her hand on his arm. He rolled his eyes. Machias' teachings have been too peaceful and made weak Cathars. And that's how he wound up dead and turned into a ghoul. If he were Lunarch, he would not tolerate that. Take him to Thraben. Post Voronos as his god. Robin examines the waterfall. There was a door behind it after all. It was well hidden, but plain to see once you knew what you were looking for, and soon Robin was inside. Robin felt strange. He had always believed in the church so much, and felt his best when he was out hunting some evil relic for his father. Now he knew the truth behind his hunts, and it shook him to his very core. But this felt like his old self again. He was on the hunt for evil, and this time the evil was his father. He would right this wrong and return to the church with his head held high. And there was Joffredus, standing behind the bloodied altar with some new victim on top of it. Robin's doubt caused yet another murder. Never again. Who's that this time? Another Cathar? Or perhaps a farmer's child? I'm guessing you talked to Adila. You know, she had a pretty daughter once, about a wee eye. The one who was bitten. Nah, not bitten. But her soul made a nice trick in, wouldn't you say? He unbuttons his robe to reveal the demonic yoke. What did you do to Rika? Nothing. She's right here. Take a look. The white sheet slides off Rika as she stands from the altar, beautiful and perfect. Robin drops his sword and embraces her. She yelps in pain, and he looks back at the woman, a twisted, darker version of Rika with blood pouring out of her chest. Robin falls away and barely gets his sword back in hand to block the first strike from the bloodletter. He repositions himself. When he had fought Thought-2, he'd made certain none of the cursed metal bit his skin. This time he had no such misgivings. It was freeing to have nothing to lose. The sword peppered him like a light rain, giving small scratches that would never stop bleeding and eventually end him. But it didn't stop him from driving his blade deep into Rika's heart, skewering her to the wall. Rika dropped the bloodletter, and for one moment looked happy. "I'm sorry, love." He picked the fallen cursed blade and turned back to Joffredus. "Son, come now. This yoke has made me stronger than even that old thing." Robin lunges and runs the older man through. "I have no need for your lies any longer." He pulls the blade back and cuts off the old man's head. Then Robin falls too, the wounds from him leaking out his life. Rika's form dangled from the wall. How sad she looked. Her wonderful light extinguished in such a pitiful way. Joffredus was one of the cultists who set her on that path. But he wasn't the only one. Robin would see them pay too. He dug his fingers deep into the old man's neck and pulled the collar free, placing the silver on his own body. He screamed as every cut sealed up, and Robin rose not as Robin the Cathar, but as a man who would simply be known as Amsel. Days grew longer under the seasons of the new moon. It was a good time for the humans. The farmers of Kessock were looking to rebuild Averbrook. Wolf attacks had stopped completely, as the holy wolf fear, eternal wolfmen obedient to Avacyn, took their place. The church was regaining power and even looking for a new Lunarch. Many wanted Audric, the man responsible for the capture of Gissa, to take that position. But not all was well. Geralf was still on the loose, and he seemed to have met a new friend, Ludovic. They were going to be a dangerous pair. Thalia smiled, because today was going to be a good day. Today was the day that Tibalt was to be arrested.
Do it.
The Cathars kicked the door in, and light streamed into the laboratory, if you could call it that.
By the angels.
It was not the Stitcher's workshop they expected. Instead of bodies, the people were still clearly alive. A few were sewn together, but one was just clearly nailed down to a table with an empty rat cage under him.
"I was hoping I'd have time to see it eat its way through."
Perched over the table was a well-dressed young man. His crazed eyes revealed him as the mad man he really was.
You're under arrest by the authority of the church.
A devil creeped up behind Tibalt and whispered something. Thalia leaned closer into the darkness to see droves of the things. They had come from the broken floorboards that led to a hole that was glowing fiery red.
Everyone, back! Now!
But it was too late. In an explosion of sulfur, the building came crumbling down. Thalia coughed up some blood and pushed the rubble off her. She took a painful breath. She had to have cracked a few ribs, but she got off easy. Everyone else was dead and burning in the fire. Tibalt walked out of the inferno, skin now the color of brick and sporting a new pair of horns. He grabbed her by a handful of hair and held her up. He licked the blood off her temple with a long, forked tongue.
Do it already.
"No need.
He turns a red eye to the rising moon.
Soon it will come."
And then he did something Thalia had never seen. He just vanished into thin air as Tibalt's spark ignited and he planeswalked away. In Nephalia, there stands a glittering tower high above the silver dust coast.
Generic, a shadow has moved.
Tamio looks away from her telescope atop this tower. The old lunar mystic puts his eye to the telescope and nods.
There, on the face of the moon, something has shifted. I feel a change coming.
Hey guys, LanternMTG here. I wanted to take a brief second to just tell y'all this is the end of this dramatic reading series. That's basically the overall plot of the Innistrad series, the original Innistrad series. From here, I don't know what I'm going to be doing with my channel. I'd like to continue do some tidbit lores that were missed, small little things that got missed out that I just couldn't fit into this kind of dramatic reading. But that really depends about what you guys think. Depending on how you guys think this channel's going, and that if you guys want to see more content, please let me know. I was just setting out originally to do these couple videos and just explain some of the lore that you might have missed out on. But if there is a need or a want for my channel to continue and continue to give you guys sort of dramatic readings, and not only that, just random lore tidbits and whatnot, then I'm more than willing to help out there. I just want to know that you guys do want it. Another thing that I'd like you guys to do is on my Twitter, LanternMTG, send me questions. I'm going to have a video coming up soon where I want to answer your guys' questions. So just either in the comments below, ask me some questions about anything Magic the Gathering lore, or in Twitter. If you guys don't want to comment below, that's fine too. Just go ahead and hit me up on Twitter on LanternMTG. The last thing is there will be a mega update for my channel. There's a lot of updates still happening. So if you guys can please subscribe, and you'll be notified when I give you that update, and maybe you guys can have some input to where this channel's going. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it. Again, I can't do it without you guys' support. So thank you so much for coming to my channel and listening to me.